Welcome to today's discussion on the topic of football's diversity problem. Football is the world's most popular sport, with millions of fans tuning in every week to watch their favorite teams play. However, the sport has long struggled with issues of racism and discrimination, both on and off the field. Today, we'll be discussing these issues in depth and exploring what can be done to address them. Segment 1, The Problem. Host, so let's start by discussing the problem itself. What are some of the ways that racism and discrimination manifested in football? Expert 1, well, one of the most visible examples is the abuse that players can receive from fans. We've seen players subjected to racist chants, monkey noises, and even physical violence. Expert 2, there's also a problem with representation in the sport. Football is a global game, but the people who hold power and influence in the sport are often white men from a narrow range of backgrounds. Expert 3, and let's not forget the structural barriers that prevent talented young players from minority backgrounds from reaching the top levels of the sport. These can include things like lack of access to training facilities or bias in the scouting and recruitment process. Segment 2, The Impact. Host, clearly, these are serious issues. But why do they matter? What is the impact of racism and discrimination in football? Expert 1, well, first and foremost, it's simply wrong. No one should have to endure abuse or discrimination because of the color of their skin or their cultural background. Expert 2, beyond that, it can have a real impact on players' mental health and well-being. Imagine being subjected to racist abuse every time you step on the field. That's a heavy burden to carry. Expert 3, and then there's the impact on the sport itself. Football is supposed to be a game that brings people together, but when racism and discrimination are allowed to fester, it can create divisions and undermine the spirit of the game. Segment 3, The Solutions. Host, so what can be done to address these issues? What are some potential solutions? Expert 1, well, education is a big part of it. We need to make sure that everyone involved in the sport, from fans to players to coaches, understands why racism and discrimination are so harmful. Expert 2, we also need to hold people accountable. When fans or players engage in racist behavior, they need to face consequences. And when there are structural barriers that prevent diversity in the sport, we need to actively work to break them down. Expert 3, finally, we need to amplify the voices of people from diverse backgrounds. We need more people of color and women in positions of power in the sport so that the perspectives of all players and fans are represented. Conclusion. Host, thank you all for joining me today to discuss football's diversity problem. It's clear that this is a complex issue, but by working together and taking concrete actions, we can create a more inclusive and welcoming sport for everyone.